everything starts just after conception and in utero. And the reason this is important is because in this child's brain, 150 billion neurons are forming, and they're developing connections at the rate of more than 1,000 per second, every second. Now, it's at this stage of development that much of the trauma of childhood actually occurs. And some of it you're very familiar with, but some of it I want to reiterate because it's important to keep in mind. You know that smoking is bad in pregnancy, you know that drinking is bad, methamphetamines, etc. You know that prescribed drugs could be bad. But maternal stress is the one I want to point to because emotional abuse, physical abuse, severe financial stress, familial discord, all of these things create the release of cortisol, the stress hormone. And this goes directly into the child's brain and creates problems which show up later. Sometimes it's learning disabilities, attention problems, problems with impulsivity. And so as this nervous system is very, very finely tuned and designed, but it can be messed with fairly easily. And maternal stress is one of the things that we forget about. And what I've noticed is sometimes single mothers get the least support when neurobiology would say they should get the most support. And sometimes we get it backwards. And so this obviously has implications also for housing policy folks and also for domestic violence folks, etc. If you're homeless and you don't know where your food is coming from, that creates stress, not just for you, the mom, but also affects, literally directly affects the developing child's brain. So we're going to have to do this part. We're going to have to go through brain anatomy. And first we're going to do a macro lesson. No, first we're going to do the cellular, which is like using a microscope and going down and looking inside the brain. And I promise I won't spend too much time there. And then we're going to go to the macro, to the larger level of the brain. And then the brain anatomy part will be over. This is what a brain cell looks like. And this is what I was talking about. There's 150 billion of these in a child or more. And they're forming connections here. These are called synapses at the rate of 1,000 per second. And these are the way that the brain cells communicate with each other. So this is one brain cell, that's another brain cell. These are called axons and dendrites. And the connection between the two, which is how the brain connections form or do not form, depend on the child's experience or lack of experience. So we have a direct correlation between what a child experiences or doesn't experience and what their brain actually looks like. Now, just as an aside, this is a blow-up of a synapse. This is where epinephrine, serotonin does its stuff. For you, those of you out there on Prozac or Zoloft, Wellbutrin, raise your hands. This is where that works. So this is an electron micrograph, and you can see how gorgeous this thing is. This is one cell, and this is just some of the synapses, and you can see where the little connections are made. The crown of creation. And if you look at the number of potential connections, if each one makes between 1,000 and 10,000 connections, and there's 150 billion of them, or 150 billion of them, the number of possible permutations or the number of potential connections is on the order of magnitude of the number of atoms or molecules in the universe. In the universe. So you could take all the computers we've ever constructed, put them all together at the same time, multiply them by 1 million, put them in series, put them in parallel, do anything you want with them. They won't come close to a single child's brain in terms of complexity. There's nothing in the cosmos, nothing that is known to man that comes remotely close to the complexity and the elegance of the architecture of every child's brain and as it's developing. Now, what we do to it later is another story. Sometimes a sad story, but sometimes a happy story. But what we should know is that what we're dealing with is the ultimate organization or architecture known in the universe.